The arbitration room was cold, sterile. The polished mahogany table felt like a coffin lid between us. On one side, there was me, Olivia. On the other, my entire world. My father, David, looking stern and righteous. My mother, Jennifer, dabbing at tears that weren't for me. And in the center, my ex-husband, Jacob, and my sister, Emily, holding hands. The picture of betrayed innocence. The arbitrator cleared his throat. Mr. Vaughn, please state the purpose of this hearing. My father stood. Adjusting his suit jacket, he looked at the arbitrator, not at me. We are here, he said, his voice resonating with false integrity. For family honor. He paused. Then, finally, his eyes cut to me, cold with contempt. A few months ago, at Jacob and Emily's celebration, I made a toast. I said, I'm proud of all my children except the loser. Have you ever been called the loser by your own family? Just because you chose a different path, let me know your story down in the comments. He called me the loser. And the worst part, it wasn't the first time. It just echoed what they had always thought. My 7-year marriage to Jacob wasn't a partnership. It was a performance. He was the star, the charismatic CEO, the visionary. I was just the support, the quiet, cold wife who ran the numbers, wrote the code, and built the entire back-end system that our company ran on. I was the architect, but he lived in the house. I remember when I finished my master's degree in financial modeling, I'd worked full-time while studying at night. When I told my father, David, he just nodded, not looking up from his paper. That's nice. Olivia, now you can really help Jacob with his bookkeeping. 2 weeks later, my sister Emily sold a single watercolor painting at a local art fair for $50. My parents threw a party. A party. That's how it always was. This is the part people outside a toxic family never understand. They see the roles, not the rules. My mother, Jennifer, called it balancing. Once, when Emily lost her tuition money again, my mother pulled me aside. Just cover it for her. Honey, she whispered, squeezing my arm. You know how she is. She's sensitive. You've always been the strong one. Strong was just another word for expendable. Sensitive was another word for excused. I was the scapegoat. Emily was the golden child. The scapegoat is the one who carries all the family's problems. The golden child is the one who carries all their hopes. And God help the scapegoat whoever tries to point out that the golden child is the one causing all the problems. It's a closed system. I tried to tell myself it didn't matter. I had Jacob. I had our work. But the slights kept adding up. The missed dinners, the casual dismissals, the way Jacob would credit his instinct for a solution. I had spent a month programming. That's when I started the Red Ledger. It wasn't for revenge. Not at first. It was a simple, leather-bound notebook. Deep red. It started as my private business planner. But it became something else. It became my memory. A place to log the facts. A place to prove I wasn't crazy. May 10th, Jacob promised the board the new platform would be ready in July. He didn't tell them I was the one who had to build it. August 2nd, Emily borrowed my car and crashed it. Dad told me I shouldn't have parked it where she could find the keys. November 17th, Jacob said he needed to go to a conference. The hotel receipt I found later was for 2. I wasn't logging feelings. I was logging data. I was logging the truth. I was recording every time my reality was denied. Every time my work was stolen. Every time I was told to be the strong one. I didn't know it then, but I wasn't writing a diary. I was writing an indictment. I was building a case. And the red ledger, sitting in my bag at that cold arbitration table, held every single receipt. The breaking point didn't come with a scream. It came with a quiet click of a mouse. It was 2 a.m. Jacob and Emily were on another business trip. This time to Miami. I was in the home office, bathed in the blue light of the monitor, doing the one thing Jacob always hated: our finances. He called it my hoarding, my obsession with details. He found it cold. I found it necessary. I was reconciling our joint business accounts when I saw the anomaly. A new liability. A massive one. A $750,000 loan. Issued 3 months ago. I clicked the file. It was from a commercial bank. Not our usual lender. And then I saw the collateral. It wasn't the company. It was the downtown apartment my parents had given me. Free and clear. Before our wedding. My blood went cold. But my hand was steady. I scrolled down the PDF to the signature page. There was my name. Olivia Vaughn. It was a perfect signature. Almost. The loop on the V was just a fraction too tight. It was a forgery. A brilliant one. But a forgery nonetheless. I leaned back. And for a second, the room spun. $750,000. But how did they? And then it hit me. Like ice water. Emily. About 4 months ago, she'd accidentally spilled an entire glass of red wine directly onto my high-resolution scanner at home. Oh my God. Olivia. I'm so sorry, she'd cried. I'm just so clumsy. I'd been annoyed. But I'd told her it was fine. The next day, I'd needed to scan some documents for an insurance renewal. Jacob had insisted I use the new scanner in his office. It's faster. Anyway, he'd said, smiling. I had scanned my passport, my driver's license, and the insurance forms, all bearing my signature. They hadn't just forged it, they had stolen it. They had planned this. I thought about Jacob's words from the night I'd found the hotel receipt, the night he'd finally admitted it. It's you. Olivia, he'd yelled. You're just cold. You're clinical. Emily is warm. She actually feels things cold. I stood up and walked to the kitchen. My reflection passing over the dark windows. He was right. I was cold. But he'd always mistaken cold for numb. He thought I didn't feel. He didn't understand that cold was just the stillness of observation. Cold was the ice that forms over a deep, fast-moving river. Cold was clarity. My burden wasn't that I was a quiet observer. My burden was that I had spent 7 years observing this, logging it, and pretending I didn't see the pattern. I did not cry. I did not throw a glass. I walked back to the office, printed the $750,000 loan application, and slid it neatly into the back of my red ledger. The affair was a betrayal. This was a crime. Jacob and Emily thought they were playing a game of emotion. They thought they were winning because Emily was warm and I was cold. They didn't realize that while they were playing checkers, I was the one who had built the board, and I was about to change the rules. The plan formed in that cold, quiet moment. I wasn't going to confront them. I wasn't going to give them the satisfaction of a fight. No, I was going to let them have exactly what they wanted. I was going to let them win. I spent the next 8 months in absolute, calculated silence. I filed for divorce. The grounds were simple, irreconcilable differences. The reaction was immediate. My mother, Jennifer, was hysterical. After everything Jacob has done for you, you're just throwing away a good man. Olivia, you're tearing this family apart. My father, David, was more direct. You're making a catastrophic mistake. He boomed over the phone. You're letting your pride destroy your future. Jacob is a success. You're nothing without him. I just listened. I let them believe I was the bitter, broken wife. We met in the lawyer's offices. Jacob, smug and confident, sat beside his lawyer. Emily was waiting in the hall for moral support. His demands were total. He wanted the company, claiming I lacked the executive vision to run it. He wanted the house, the one purchased with the $750,000 loan. He wanted all the business assets, the cars, the accounts. My lawyer was furious. Olivia, this is theft. She hissed. We fight this. We can prove his misconduct. I looked at Jacob. At the arrogant tilt of his chin, he actually believed he had built it all. He believed I was the loser my father had toasted. No, I said, my voice clear and steady. Give it to him. My lawyer stared at me. What? Give him the company. Give him the house. Give him all of it. I had only one demand, my personal apartment, the one that predated our marriage, and, crucially, was not tied to the fraudulent loan. Jacob's lawyer nearly choked on his water. Jacob himself just smiled. A slow, condescending smile. He thought I was surrendering. He thought I was broken. Well, he said, leaning back, I'm glad to see you're finally being reasonable. Olivia, the signing was a blur. My mother cried. My father shook his head, muttering about my failure. Jacob and Emily signed the papers with the victorious flourish of thieves who had just been handed the keys to the vault. My father put a heavy hand on my shoulder. At least Jacob was decent enough to not take everything, he said, his disappointment hanging in the air. I just nodded. My face, a mask of calm. I handed Jacob the pen. I walked out of that office with nothing but my apartment, my personal savings, and the red ledger in my bag. They celebrated that night. I saw the pictures Emily posted. Champagne, laughter, the new power couple. I waited exactly 1 week. I waited until the ink was dry, until every title had been transferred, until every asset, every account, and every single dollar of that $750,000 fraudulent loan was no longer in my name, but solely in his. Then, I went to a print shop across town. I packaged a box. Inside, I put photocopies, not originals, of the loan application, the forged signature, the bank statements showing the money trail into J.E. Holdings, and select annotated pages from my red ledger. Explaining the timeline, I addressed the box to the state's Financial Fraud Investigation Unit. I sent it anonymously. The trap wasn't that I had caught him. The trap was that I had let him go. I didn't report a fraud committed against Olivia Vaughn, the wife. I reported a massive, documented fraud committed by the company's new sole owner, Jacob Clean. He had inherited the mess. He had inherited the crime. He had inherited the cage. And I had just watched him lock the door from the inside. The anonymous tip detonated faster than I could have imagined. The call came from my mother. Jennifer. I knew it would. I let it ring 3 times before answering. Olivia, what did you do? She wasn't crying. She was screaming. What did you do to him? I kept my voice calm, glancing at the rain streaming down my apartment window. I have no idea what you're talking about. Mom, the company, the bank. They've frozen everything. They're talking about fraud. Olivia, fraud Jacob is... He's... Oh my God. Your father is on his way to your apartment. You have to fix this. You were the finance person. You have to call them and undo whatever you did. Mom, I said, and the coldness in my own voice surprised me. I'm afraid I can't undo a federal investigation. She hung up. My father, David, called next. You will come to this house. Now, you will face what you have done. It wasn't a request, but I went. I went because I had paid for this ticket, and I wanted to see the show. The scene at my parents' house was even better than I'd pictured. Jacob was pacing the living room, his face pale and sweaty. The visionary CEO was gone, replaced by a cornered rat. Emily, now visibly pregnant, was weeping hysterically on the sofa, her golden child status dissolving with every tear. My father didn't look at Jacob. He turned on me the second I walked in the door. There you are. He boomed. This is your fault. Your jealousy. Your bitterness. You couldn't stand to see your sister happy. So you decided to destroy this family. You called the banks, didn't you? You fed them some spreadsheet-filled lie. I've been gone for 8 months. Dad, I said, she's been vindictive. Jacob spat. Seeing his opening, I knew it. She was just waiting to strike. She probably set this whole thing up. My mother rushed to his side. Please, Olivia. She begged. I don't know what you told them. But just call it off. Tell them it was a mistake. Tell them you'll cover the $750,000. Please. He's the father of your sister's child. They still thought I was the one with the money. They still thought I was the one who had done something wrong. Jacob stood there, silent, letting my parents fight his battle. The very picture of a man wrongly accused. I just watched them. I let the accusations build. But Emily was cracking. She was watching her win. Her perfect life evaporate. She won't, Emily suddenly shrieked, jumping to her feet. Her face was a mess of tears and rage. She won't fix it because she knows it's her fault. My parents turned, confused. What do you mean? Honey, Jennifer asked, moving to comfort her. It's her fault for being so cold, for never being there, forcing Jacob to find someone else, forcing us to. Emily, be quiet. Jacob hissed, his eyes flashing with pure panic. No, she screamed, rounding on him. I'm not going to be quiet. I'm tired of her. Even if I did tell you to take the money, even if I helped you get that signature, it's because she deserved it. She had everything. She never deserved any of it. I told you to take it. Jacob, I told you it was what she owed us. The room went absolutely terrifyingly silent. The only sound was Emily's ragged, gulping breath. My mother's hand was frozen halfway to her mouth. My father stared at his golden child, his sensitive daughter, as if he'd never seen her before. He had believed Jacob was the villain and Emily was the victim. He finally understood. She wasn't swept up. She was the one who lit the match. Emily, David said, his voice a hoarse whisper. And what did you just say? Jacob just closed his eyes. This has been illuminating. I said into the silence. Olivia, wait, my father commanded. But the power in his voice was gone. He was still staring at Emily, really seeing her. Maybe for the first time in his life. You wanted to handle this as a family, I said, picking up my purse. You're handling it. But you're mistaken about one thing. This isn't a family matter anymore. It's a criminal one. And you've all just confessed. I turned to leave. Wait, my mother cried. The arbitration. We'll drop it. Just don't. I paused at the door and looked back. Oh, no, I said. We're absolutely having that hearing. I'm bringing my ledger. And so, here we were, back in that cold arbitration room, my father's words, except the loser still hanging in the air. My family sat opposite me, radiating false victimhood. The arbitrator asked for my response. I said nothing. I simply placed my bag on the table and took out the red ledger. The energy in the room shifted. Mr. Arbitrator, I said, my voice level. My family is here for honor. I am not. I'm here for numbers. I opened the book. I will read the final accounting. Entry 1, a $750,000 loan. Approved, with my forged signature. Entry 2, the full sum transferred to a shell corporation. J.E. Holdings. Standing for Jacob and Emily. Entry 3, $50,000 withdrawn from his city, Emily Vaughn's new sports car. I looked at my sister, her face ashen. Entry 5, the divorce. Mr. Jacob Klein demanded and received sole ownership of the company, the house, and all associated accounts. He inherited the assets, and he inherited the debt. Jacob exploded. This is privileged information. She stole this. Emily shrieked, her face twisting with rage. Your lying you ruined everything. It wasn't remorse. It was narcissistic injury, pure fury at being exposed. My parents sat frozen. Bal. The truth had landed. Olivia. My father whispered. What did you do? I closed the ledger. I did what you taught me. Dad. I balanced the books. I told the arbitrator, this hearing was a sham to force me to pay their criminal debts. I refuse. My accounting is finished. I left the ledger on the table and walked out. I never looked back. They mistook my silence for weakness. It was my weapon. They mistook my calm for coldness. It was clarity. They weren't destroyed by my anger, but by their own actions. Recorded in black and white.